Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. Thanks for coming. We'll get started just now. 10 seconds or less. Okay, so a little bit of a follow-up from the last session, which was longer and broader than anticipated. Wanted to sort of put things into a little bit more clearer perspective in this one, try to be a little bit more focused. These things are actually quite difficult to explain, not purely due to this paradigm shift known as artificial intelligence, but also because these things are quite broad in their capabilities. It is a real rethink, but we will talk about that as well. Just bear with me, please. I'm just going to make sure the sound is coming through. I think it's probably a little bit low. Bring that up a bit. Hopefully that's better. All right, so this is a webinar, ladies and gentlemen. It is interactive, unless you're viewing the recording later on, of course. But right here, coming to you live in 4 dimensions. It is interactive. It's just broadcasts through the website, which means that if you want to ask questions, we highly encourage you do. Just use that chat box in the bottom right hand corner. That'll come through to me just in the same way it would with a webinar. So don't hesitate. Ask whatever you like. A lot of these things, as I've said, are new and unfamiliar. That's not just at a technological level, but at a conceptual level and at an investor Unity level and an Adam Lavar's level. Who knows? But get the questions out of your head and put them into chat, and I'll do my best. This will be quite a free-flowing session as well, or a little bit more free-flowing than other ones. But what we're discussing here is this concept called trading and investing like a business, if you can imagine that. And it's just one of these countless sort of cliche things that you've heard around the industry for many years, decades now. Treat trading and investing like a business. For many people, however, at least in many of the ways it's just sort of marketed to you, it doesn't really go much beyond the notion of, you know, don't treat it like a joke, don't treat it like gambling. Well, that's a great place to start, but we do need to get more complex than that. We do need to be more organized, more structured, not for the sake of complexity itself, but the sake of effectiveness. A business is a set of processes structured in such a way and to maximize effectiveness and efficiency. And in many cases, of course, as businesses become more complex, they're implemented and managed by staff. And this is where, of course, most people tend to struggle, completely understandably, of course. It's because most people who are running their home wealth fund, which is effectively what you're doing, whether you're a trader or an investor or both, in many cases, people are a bit of both. And it covers equities, ETFs, managed funds, property, who knows. Everything you do effectively is, in this regard, is a step towards financial improvement, and therefore part of this home wealth fund type process. But it's understandable when these things get too complex and you start putting things in the too hard basket because you don't understand them immediately and you don't want to bother setting an appointment with a finance person every time you need to ask questions about things. or you just have different opportunities of different types with different paperwork involved and different other complexities around foreign currency conversions and risk. Now, keeping it simple is great, of course, but as Einstein says, the aim is to make things as simple as possible, but not any simpler than that. And the whole KISS thing, keep it simple, stupid thing, is more, well, it's more stupid than smart in far too many cases. And quite honestly, it's just something that's sort of sold to you. It's a lie to keep you dependent upon the industry or just for the person, whoever's on the phone to you at the time, to help them, get past tricky questions and just sell you whatever it is they're trying to sell you. But for years, of course, there hasn't really been a way around this complexity. You're not a finance person. Most people aren't finance people. A lot of people, and it's not a criticism in it by any stretch of the imagination, but most people aren't. Well, a large number of people aren't. Um, at a very simple level, they just don't want to think about all these complexities and so forth. And so the battle or the conflict has always been something of an internal one within yourself, and also an external one amongst the industry and all the noise and rubbish. Um, and it's just basically resulted in people oversimplifying, becoming far too dependent upon the financial services industry, and in many cases just missing out on opportunities because they just go into the too hard basket. Now, just like the internet itself, just like search engines, just like email and all these other wonderful conveniences, it is technology that changes these things. So a spreadsheet is better than a calculator, and email is better than walking to the post office. The sooner you can get um, get a grasp of these things and start putting them into practice, the better, of course. And people usually do catch up eventually, but lose a lot of opportunity in the meantime. Well, the artificial intelligence revolution, as it's called, and yes, it absolutely is. I'm not one for cheesy terms, and I'm not one for chasing trends and so forth, but it really is a revolution because we're talking about something as fundamentally human as intelligence and communication and use of tools. Very important to understand the use of tools. It does change all these things. It really does. And so now, rather than being overly reliant upon the financial services industry, needing a professional every time you need advice on foreign currency exposure, complex jargon, documents that are just too big and cumbersome to work through, calculating your risk even in a relatively simple mathematically standard formula, considering foreign currency conversions if you're investing in US stocks or spot gold in US dollars or whatever it is. All of these things can now be done not just on an individual process level, but as a whole, as a collective, as a business, using staff in the form of artificial intelligence, digital staff, effectively. And I encourage everybody to get past this quote unquote just a chatbot type mentality that may have been true 2.5 years ago. Not really, but we are well and truly past this stage. We have companies all over the world, major companies racing to integrate artificial intelligence into their internal processes, into their back end systems, everything else to make themselves internally not just cost cutting, but that is a big part of it, but more efficient. Um, which cost cutting is only a small component of, by the way, or a component. So more efficient cost wise, more efficient time wise, and more efficient. And this is key. Right, make a mental note of this one, please. Make it becoming more efficient, opportunity capture wise. So saving money is great. Saving time is arguably better. Time is money. Um, but becoming more effective at capturing opportunities is key to business, and it is obviously very, very key to financial markets. And so, if you saw that email, it's the key. One of the key messages there in the email was asking whether artificial intelligence can improve bottom line results is like asking whether Warren Buffett should be his own IT manager and his own receptionist. Of course not. It's a waste of resources. The head of the fund, with the experience and the direction and the care, and the real talent in terms of decision making abilities, as decision making skills, Warren Buffett in this case, or you as the head of your home wealth fund, as such, is going to perform better if they have staff helping them with things like paperwork, basic research, and things that are outside their immediate realm of expertise. Warren Buffett is not very good at tech, for example. There are people that are smarter than Warren Buffett at tech, and so he relies upon them, of course. And so, I mean, the analogies are just endless. I mean, Tiger Woods doesn't carry his own um, golf bag. Lewis Hamilton doesn't change his own tires in the middle of a race. You get the idea. That's what we're talking about here, and it's incredibly important to understand if you're willing to get past this just the chatbot type mentality. All right, so this session we'll see what we can cover. We're 11 minutes in, and I did want to try to keep this to 30 minutes or so, and I'm very bad at keeping things to schedule in schedule, so I do apologise in advance, but I'm going to do my best. All right, so Investor Unity Past and Future, AI Misconceptions and Opportunities, treat trading and investing like a business. I've probably preached about this one enough already. And the deep process. The deep process is the focus. We've these other things that we've discussed there. We've covered in other sessions, and so we probably just sort of skim past them a bit. Okay, so that's me there, Adam Lavaz. I recognise a lot of you on the list, so good to see you again. Nice to hear from you. Nice to see you again as such. License says 2006. I started a little bit before that. Officially licensed, so to speak, into derivatives and so forth in 2006. Launched Investor Unity in 2012. Still a very small and specialist firm, not beholden to any particular strategy, market type broker, or any other firms. Sole interest is aligned and focused upon the long-term success of our clients. Now, this has always been the case. It's just gone through different augmentations and shifts over the years according to the way the industry has changed, the way the market opportunities have changed, the way the technology has changed. Initially, in my career, I was very focused on consultation slash education. Um, Capital raising came next, predominantly for externally managed services, or in the initial stages, exclusively for externally managed services. Internally managed diversified algorithmic trading came next. It's still there to some degree, and will become more of a focus as markets become more opportune. Semi and fully automated equities systems, equities based, typically US based, was the next focus. We still have these, although given the manic, absurd state of the markets, it's a good time to at least start reviewing these and looking to shift exposure away from these as well. And this leads us, of course, to the AI paradigm shift. Now, when we talk about efficiencies, again, it's not just about cost reduction. That's great. It's not just about saving time, but it is about opportunity capture. Opportunity capture comes from opportunity management and opportunity exposure. And so all of these things that I've just mentioned now are now much more possible for Investor Unity internally. And with this AI paradigm shift, the shift is that we're trying to now make more of these things available to you. We're trying to pass on many more of the benefits to you, including for anyone with a decent capital behind them, and you can run the numbers on the website to see if it's um, actually makes sense mathematically. But including cost savings, but more specifically from a technological and um, administration in many cases perspective, we can now cover so many more opportunities, so many more areas, and uh, very much to the point we can now communicate these to you much more effectively than we have been able to do in the past, as well as arm you with the technology and the ability to properly evaluate and decide upon these things for yourself, to properly contextualize these things for yourself. So the old way has always been something along the lines of you put out a video, you put out a webinar, you send out an email, whatever it is. The client has to go through, sift out the key information, make sure the jargon makes sense, look at their portfolio, look at what their other investments, try to fit that in, try to make sure they're not missing anything, try to make sure that it fits into their risk profile, come back to the financial advisor or whoever it is, and make an appointment, pay their fees sometimes, put it through this entire decision making process, this business decision making process, is which is what it really is, and essentially from there, see if it's all been done properly enough that it actually makes sense and becomes a cohesive part of their longer term wealth creation aims. So through technology, you can now do that much more effectively. I mean, we're seeing these type of gains, internal gains in large financial services firms where they're taking processes that would take days and condensing it down to minutes. And the whole idea really is that you should be doing these things for yourself as well through these AI enhanced or AI assisted type processes. So now we can take something that may have been somewhat complex or may have been perceived by the client as being outside of their wheelhouse and immediately rejected on, quite frankly, illogical grounds, but put it out there for the client and give them artificial intelligence tools that allows them to interpret that, contextualize that, strip out all the noise, make it make sense for them, run the numbers for them relative to the rest of their portfolio, come up with key questions, have a back and forth, and you can just do all of this very, very quickly and very, very effectively, as opposed to the whole process of the back and forths, the appointment settings, the trawling through large documents, and all of these other things. So this is actually an aspect of the opportunity capture process that I'm talking about. Again, it's not just about convenience. It's not just about efficiency. It is actually ultimately about making the client better at capturing opportunities. Of course, they have to be able to evaluate them first. Okay, so we're already 20 minutes in. DFY. So two key areas there, done for you and do it yourself. DFY just means managed funds, ETFs, managed discretionary accounts, managed and automated trading strategies. Essentially anything that is just, well, done for you. You don't have to make individual level trading decisions at the least. You just have to get a high degree of transparency and can see what's going on in your account, and it varies according to the degree of transparency varies according to whether it's a managed fund or an ETF, even a managed discretionary account. Automated trading strategies are typically the ones with the highest degree of transparency. DIY, education, signals, alerts, live analysis, and tools. Now, this whole idea of over complexity and managing multiple things and having um, your fingers in different pies and your mind in running across different contexts is, at least until now, where it starts to get complex internally and of course for the clients. But with specialized artificial intelligence, you can start to open up your horizons a little bit more through, again, effectively having what are staff working for you to help you relate and monitor and manage these things. And I do stress to you that these tools, I mean, they are tools. They are tools, technically, but in terms of how you actually capture or utilize these tools, you really are better off thinking of them like humans, human members of staff. They do talk to you, they do think, at least in practical senses. You may, of course, say that they're not actually conscious, and of course they're not. Um, but in a practical, and they actually do things for you as well. They utilize tools themselves. So they really are, in a practical sense, better thought of as members of your staff, human members of your staff, as absurd as that may sound. So someone's just having trouble getting into the presentation here. Let me just, sorry, let me just assist them for a moment. Won't be a moment. All right. So let's just talk about some of the actual tools that are available to you. So you go to the members homepage. Well, in fact, let me skip ahead a little bit here. Well, not even skip ahead, but start at the top, I suppose. So when you join, you join up as a member. You get access to all the premium tools, and there are two different memberships: two premium memberships, one free membership. Two memberships are premium and premium bespoke. Both are essentially the same, except that one of them is much more customized. So what does that mean? A special offer there on at the moment as well, as you can see. Um, so there's just a huge list of benefits here. It's there to effectively cover everything. We're just going from this point now, due to advances in technology, as I keep stressing, from not having to focus on any particular aspect of the financial markets or the financial industry or anything, but just try to just give as much as we can, and just help people out with as much as we possibly can. The premium one there is $1,000. The bespoke one there is $2,000. The only real difference is that the bespoke one gets you a lot more customized setup. But special offer is that you get the bespoke one at the premium price currently. Anyway, it's an annual membership. It doesn't auto renew. If you want, and realistically, and in line with this whole, not being overly dependent upon the financial services industry concept, is at the end of the first year, you can probably, if you've put in a bit of evidence and got the benefit out of it, you can probably just downgrade to a premium one anyway. You probably don't need ongoing custom custom support. But that's all there for you in any case. And as you can see here, it's just a very, very comprehensive membership. And this is just the things that we've been able to sort of list and specify at the time being. For the time being, it will grow. There will be more things put in there, and so much of this can be expanded on simply by request. And so the general idea now is just that if you're a member, if you need something, we can do it for you. We will do it. Everything is just so much more efficient now that there's no reason why we can't help people out very, very effectively with things that people used to charge. And when I say used to, I mean they absolutely still uh, do charge a lot of money for. So the key thing here is with the different memberships, sorry, or the different tools and benefits. The immediate thought that people have, of course, is that it's all far too complex and it's far too much to keep a handle on. Well, that used to be the case, but now what you have is you have a single point of contact. It's an artificial intelligence agent there who can just navigate these things for you, and rather than even having to search through the sites, which of course is pretty easy in and of itself, but um, rather than having to search through the site and navigate things and so forth, you just basically tell the AI what it is that you're trying to achieve. And so you can see here I asked it before to show the members home, and it just brings up the members home. Show the global banks smartboard, brings up global banks smartboard. Uh, this is just an earlier thing here. Sometimes you have to nudge it a little bit. Again, it's more like a human. It needs to be managed a little bit. It needs to be prodded, nudged a little bit from time to time. None of these things are perfect, but it's not about perfection. It's about progress, and it is huge progress. It is a huge advancement on the previous processes that people would normally have to go through. But here's just an example of where it gave a little bit of an overview of the swing trade levels on the USD Swiss franc, and I was just sort of mucking around here as a potential client or client member that is, and asked it, told it my account balance and how much I'm looking to risk, etc., which it can actually do automatically if it's in your profile info. You can just put that information in your profile info, and um, it will automatically read it and take it into consideration. But you can see here it's just done the numbers for you, um, and so on. So that's a few basic things here, and there are different modes that you can use. Quick link just is, as the name suggests, it just doesn't really talk to you, doesn't try to be your friend or anything. It'll just be as quick as it can in showing you something. It's actually much slower than usual for some reason. Oh, so that is much slower than usual. That usually shouldn't take more than say 5 or 6 seconds. But that's the idea there. You can switch it back to normal mode, which will give you a nice little balance between intelligence and effectiveness. And if you switch it to deep mode, it'll be slower, but it will really think through things, and it is extremely intelligent. So again, these are not your free chatbot, Copilot, Gemini type, ChatGPT type stuff. These are the sort of level you normally have to pay for, and we do pay for, of course. Um, the recent estimates put these models at around 130 IQ, so they are very intelligent. They have more knowledge than me, more knowledge than you. They have more knowledge than anybody else I know, or just say any any um, any human. It's just that battle was lost some time ago, so to speak, or but that's okay. So that's the basic navigation aspects, and the point here really is to what I'll do here is I'll switch across to the deep process here. The point is to take things through a structured evaluation process, a structured decision-making process. That's what a business is. A business is a set of processes with structured decision-making involved, applied to them. And so the four stages there. And don't get caught up in the acronyms. It's just the deep acronym is just there for memorability. All it really means is that you become aware that something exists. It's brought to your attention. It's come through from some sort of reliable source, whether that's Investor Unity or some other newsletter or blog or financial services professional or YouTube or whatever it is, whomever it is you consider to be legitimate and respectable, at least enough to the point of you considering or potentially considering their thoughts and signals and recommendations and thinkings, etc. So that's just the discover phase. The educate phase is where you go through a little bit of information gathering, context gathering, to figure out a little bit about what it's about. And the point at this stage, and I'm actually going to flick across to the whiteboard at some point. Let me come across to the whiteboard here to try to make this a bit more clear for you. Okay. It's the whiteboard, not the blackboard. Yes. So different stages there. Firstly, you find out something exists. Pretty easy. You find it exists, that is. Then you get your basic info. Now, because there are different opportunity types in the financial universe, this could be an individual stock recommendation. It could be a trade setup, say a swing trade setup on commodities, for example. It could be an ETF. It could be an algorithmic trading system, other things as well. Essentially anything that is verifiable and quantifiable and can be considered legitimate, of course, is technically a potential opportunity. If the numbers make sense and the logic makes sense, and it's manageable and fits into your portfolio, etc., there's no reason to not consider it. And so that's the reason for this this educate phase. The key point is to determine which type of potential opportunity it is. And the reason for this is so that once you progress to the evaluate stage, you know which type of method of evaluation to apply. So the scenarios kind of split at this point. Now, remember, as you go through this process, the artificial intelligence will be there to chat with you through it each step of the way. But this evaluate stage is actually quite key. There's something of a turning point here. The educate stage is to determine the type of opportunity so that you can determine which method of evaluation to apply at the evaluate stage. And so the goal of the evaluate stage is to actually have a quantified opportunity. And so it is actually at this stage that something meets the true definition of opportunity, because it has an expected value, an expected dollar value based upon expected value principles, right? Probabilistic determinations, rational expectation. Now, the perform stage is the evaluate stage is actually the most important stage there. Now, the perform stage is simpler. For those of you who know how a trading firm works or a hedge fund works, you know that the person who places the trade is typically the junior in the organization. They're not the senior or not the stars as such, and that's why most of them or a lot of them are replaced by machines, algorithmic machines, not necessarily artificial intelligence. But the perform stage is actually the implementation. So it is at that point that you just take the long or the short position according to previously determined figures. And what you also do is you have also previously determined, you have an invalidation criteria, which means that you are monitoring for changes in the market, changes in the macro scene, changes in the individual price of the equity of whatever it is you've just bought or sold, gone long or short on, incorporated into your portfolio. You are now monitoring that for changes that now effectively, sufficiently negatively, or even positively, in fact, change that expected value. As then you have an alert process which determines the review process. Okay? Now, if that sounds arduous, that's because it kind of is. But arduous as it may be, it is absolutely necessary. So this isn't some highfalutin fancy thing that's I've just come up with. This is just actually a fairly simple conceptually simple 4-stage process. But any professional trader / investor and any serious investment fund or wealth fund or hedge fund or whatever has these processes in place. And in fact, they're often much more complex as you can imagine. But the point is that these things can now be handled for you, the private trader / investor, automatically with artificial intelligence. So everything from the discover stage, which actually has the least artificial intelligence involvement, definitely the educate phase, absolutely the evaluate phase, and then the perform phase, you would typically pull the trigger yourself. You can have the AI do it for you, but most people still prefer to do it themselves. But the ongoing monitoring and review and alert process is the kind of thing that artificial intelligence can really shine at. Yes, of course, you have a portfolio, you have statements and all of these types of things, but there are all kinds of things that aren't captured in the numbers, such as changes in the macro scenes, changes in, well, uh, geopolitical events, you name it. So you can specify a criteria, or we can help you set that up, of course, as part of your membership process to have in place a post-entry monitor, alert, and review process that is handled by artificial intelligence, not just according to some formula, but actually according to an intelligent thinking process. And this is where it actually, as I'm trying to stress to you, acts like a member of your staff, because that's really what it's doing. It's acting like a member of your staff that's always there, but not just crunching numbers, not just wondering whether X is over Y, but it's actually thinking about, the sentiment captured in news announcements, and if this sort of thing happens with in Iran, for example, it knows, because it has an intelligent understanding of the world. It knows that if something happens in Iran, that could affect commodities, and of course, namely crude oil, etc. Commodity. The Australian economy is a commodities-based economy, so there's other tangential and related type thinking processes that it can go through. But I'm waffling on a little bit here. You get the idea. It thinks like a human. It thinks like a human that works for you. Okay, but it does all of these. It works through all of these in various degrees, both with you and for you. And one of the I mean, there are ways this is done through the website, which I'll jump back to for now. And I'm already over schedule, but let's see what we can do here. So there are ways that this is done through the website. Your staff or your artificial intelligence entities, thinking entities, have their own tools available to them, which you can use, or they can use, or you work through them in conjunction. This one here, for example, is dividends. Sorry, this is unusual volume. So it's a screener as such. Now, one of the reasons people don't use these types of tools is because they're complex, and they're not just complex in and of themselves, but you don't know when you should be using them. You don't often understand the information contained within them. You often don't want to go through the process of looking through tables, because you want everything to be very, very simple and easy. And then even if you find something that's insightful or meaningful, it's then difficult to determine realistically how much of an effect this might have upon your investment positions, your trade positions, your investment positions, some of your portfolio, all of your portfolio. Who knows? Well, this is just one of the things that you can just do here is you can just chat directly with it and say, show or give key insights, for example. And so that would run across this. That would run across the data here and um, show you a few different things, and you can just effectively just chat directly with the data. And so this is just an example with this unusual volume here. We'll have it set up to look at various things like largest gainers, largest losers, dividend portfolios, and you can also very, very quickly and easily import your own portfolio into this, or your own data of any kind, effectively, as long as you have it in a spreadsheet, and the artificial intelligence can even put it into a spreadsheet for you. You can then import it into this and chat with it directly. Okay, so you can see there that it's just extracted some key insights for you. And you wouldn't put, I've just asked it a very generic question, so that's just an example. But you can see here it's just extracted the key insights and updated the view for you. Very, very useful. And it's just one of these things where you no longer have to put things in the too hard basket, miss out on them, wonder if they actually make sense or not. Um, hope call up a financial advisor or pay someone else to go through these large data sets for you. It's all just there. It's all doable. You don't have to use this particular thing in. I must stress this to you, but this is just an example. This is just an example. Um, various other things. Going through watch lists, running through different watch lists according to different um, what is this Berkshire Holdings, for example, Social Buzz. If you're into trading the noise, these are things that are sort of trending that people are chatting about on social media, and it's just a nice, convenient list that you can scroll through just by clicking up and down on your arrow key there. And then if you wanted to take this, put this through a different, through a deeper consideration process, then you would progress it. Smart boards. I know that I'm trying to cover a lot here, but I'm trying to just keep this. I'm trying to be somewhat condensed because we do these things can run on, as you've all experienced. And the beauty of this one is this is actually a little bit, this is Trade GPT, in fact, which is something we've developed internally. But with this one, for example, you can actually chat directly to the thing. So when you look at this toolbar here, for example, you can see that it brings up a number, but they're all just ordered. And so you see a little toolbar here, and you can see that that middle one is number 5, pane 5, as you would expect. But you can just say change pane 5 to Santos. Don't even have to be able to spell properly. Well, that didn't work too well. Let's see. There you go. A bit of a not sure why it thought it was SAV. There you are. Sometimes it needs a little bit of a nudge, but that's a bit unusual. I will check that also. So this is just a way in which you can interact directly with. It's not intended to be an in-depth trading platform. You still would need an advanced charting platform to do anything specific, but anything in depth that is. But this is just there to assist you in going through this efficient and workable process, taking something from an initial discovery through to learning a bit about it, giving it proper evaluation and consideration, and then actually investing in it or putting into practice. And so these are I'm going to try to avoid not spending too much time on every particular tool, but this is just another one which you can just use to progress things like that. So after you've done your initial review, like so, if you're happy, of course, as I've just shown you, you just progress things along the opportunity management process. So I've tried to stress this as much as I can. As much as these things may seem complex, they are in the majority of cases necessary, or at the very least, if you do wish to do this thing called trading and investing like a business, there are certain things that really are essential. And so it's not about simplification for simplification's sake. It's about taking what's necessary and makes you effective and making it as simple as possible for you to implement and manage. And that is where properly configured, properly set up, artificial intelligence can really shine. In fact, there's just never been a better playing field leveler between the home-based trader slash investor slash wealth fund manager and professionals as artificial intelligence. It's just not even close. It is really just quite incredible. And even if you don't use our tools, I encourage you um, to get out there and try to use it to the best of your abilities, or just really think about extracting as much value from it as possible, because it is highly intelligent, very effective, and it can really help you fill a lot of the gaps that you would typically either forget about completely or rely upon someone in the financial services industry to assist you with. And in many cases, that's just not necessary now. And that's a good thing. And I'll say that as someone inside the financial services industry. Another one here. So the whole beyond a chatbot type thing, we have it. You can get it set up with so you can chat to it on a little app. This is actually sort of what you'd see on a mobile app like that. So you can just text the thing, um, which is good. Uh, Again, not just the chatbot. The email side of things is useful also. So you might get, and so if I didn't make it clear earlier, this is not just about taking the opportunities provided to you by Investor Unity. You can have your own systems, your own strategies, your own sources of information, the people that you like and follow, and all the rest. So many times there's good information put to you through a YouTube video or a news report or whatever it is, and you just don't act on it because, again, you don't. Even if you understand the jargon, a lot of clients are a lot of investigative clients are really quite advanced and very experienced. Um, it might be outside your wheelhouse. There might just be a lot of information that they're preventing you with, and presenting you with, that is, and you don't want to sift through every piece. You don't want to run the math on it. You don't want to run the currency conversions. You just don't have the time. Well, maybe it's good to ignore a bunch of stuff some of the time. You don't want to be um, you don't want to be putting effort into everything, but a lot of the times you do miss out on good opportunities just because they go into the too hard basket. Well, an example might be, and this is just, I don't even really know these people, but I get their emails, and I just did this as an example here, where you can take this email and all I did was I forwarded it to a specific AI email address, and then that creates it as a report on the website, saved under your profile, so that only you can access it and you can retrieve it later. And the artificial intelligence, I mean, it's interactive, by the way, so you're going from pure text to something that's actually interactive and workable. A few more things you can do with their calculators and other stuff, but it just starts the multi-stage process by providing you with a summary that's saved, and you're not going to lose it. And you can also now chat with that information to basically say, what are some key considerations for this based on my portfolio, right? So it can read your portfolio details if you've put them in your membership profile, of course. and it will just relay that information to you. Now, these ones that you see here at the bottom of the page, on these deep pages as they're called, will actually stay on this particular page. So you can use this as a note-taking mechanism effectively. And so you have intelligent notes that you can come back to later to review. You don't lose track of your thoughts. You can you can have a whole thinking process or a document or whatever it is, and ask the artificial intelligence to you can just well, you can say anything. You don't need to overthink the thing, but you would just say, this is what I'm thinking about. Just put it into key summary points for now, and I'll come back to this later. And so this would actually save in your against your profile. The AI can read it, by the way, so you can ask it. You can just ask it to retrieve your saved content. But your saved content is there, by the way. In any case, you can see there's a lot of testing on my side. But then you would just go back to that opportunity, pick up your notes where you left off, and again, continue to put that through that multi-stage multi-stage evaluation process or decision-making process. Okay. So we say things like business process, decision-making processes, structured decision-making process, etc., etc. It's not just a buzzword; it is what's actually required if you're going to be serious about getting long-term results and avoiding pitfalls and minimizing risk, etc., etc. It's this structured decision-making process is the whole thing that the gurus and the coaches, the legitimate ones and the illegitimate ones, all talk about when they talk about psychology and having a trading journal and following a plan and sticking to a plan. It's all a structured decision-making process. And when you have that properly defined process, that is actually what assists you with this constantly talked about psychology aspect. It is what keeps you on track. It is what keeps you focused. And again, when you're using artificial intelligence, you can use it to help you find flaws in your logic. You can say, what am I missing on this particular opportunity? What am I not properly considering? Um, it'll just basically help you with everything. Okay. There's the other premium course there, by the way, that focuses specifically on the AI tools. And this is another one that we didn't even get time to talk about, but you can actually just ask the AI to map out a decision-making process for you, and it will just within 20 to 40 seconds, depending upon the complexity of the request, it will just map this out as a visual decision-making tool, decision-making process uh, for you. So the technology has just gotten immeasurably smarter over even in the last 12 months. Some sort of 12 months ago, there was a bit of a breakthrough in the capability of the artificial intelligence models. So we're using the best available models. As you can see here, though, it just gets routed according to whether you just want something quick and simple or something that requires proper consideration or just a bit of a balance in between. It's really just about finding that proper balance between uh, intelligence and speed that gives you the right level of efficiency overall. Obviously, if you're just browsing the site for key links and to save yourself the hassle of searching for things, you obviously don't want something that's going to take 30 to 40 seconds per request. But if you do want your portfolio taken into consideration and some numbers run for you on one or two different opportunities, then yes, you probably want to give it a minute or two to properly think through things, and that's where you would use that deeper mode, as you can see here, which is the same one that you see on the opportunity pages themselves. So focus mode and to-do list mode, we covered them in the last session. Probably won't go too much into them now. We're already an hour into this thing, so I've broken my promise yet again. So I'll finish up there I'll finish up right about there. So now, there's this web-based stuff that I've spoken to you about, but there also is the more customized and advanced type stuff that will get you set up with, because there's only so much that can be done with a website. Sometimes you have your own personal files. There's the stuff that you don't want to share with Investor Unity or anybody else necessarily. And so for that, you use a program that actually just runs on your computer, and you have your local files, just a folder, like any other particular folder. And all you do, I know this is going to sound complex. It's not. There are different versions of the software that you can use. One is much simpler. The other one's a little bit more capable, advanced, feature-wise, not intelligence-wise. They both have the same level of technology and access to the same information. But all you do is you just have your file, your portfolio statements, your own trading thoughts and journals or PDFs or anything that you've saved, whatever it is, in a particular folder on your computer, and you just right click and you open it in the particular program. So there's different ones, as I say here. Okay, so one of them will be provided to you by Investor Unity. Once you're set up, there's standardized processes and details in there, strategies and other things like that, or playbooks, as we call them. And the other one is, well, any other ones, you can have as many as you like, really. But the other ones would be ones that are not shared with Investor Unity. They're just your private files. But when you bring it up, like so, you can have the software just run across your entire financial life in a real sense. And again, it doesn't have to be shared with Investor Unity unless you want to, of course. But you can keep this private. You have your own private AIs running on your computer, and you can essentially just ask it to run across all the files in the folder that I just showed you, just again as an example. So you just have your files in a particular folder on your computer. You open it in this particular piece of software that you see here, or another simpler version if you wish. The AI can then read your files, edit your files, if you ask it to, of course. And so you now have what is effectively a trading assistant, a strategic assistant, a financial consultant. The reality is that it does act very much like a financial advisor in terms of the way that it reviews your information, runs calculations, updates your local documents, the kind of things that you pay people for. It will do it all for you. All you need to do is ask it, and in fact, you can even just ask it, what do we need to do? So you don't. One of the things that people make the mistake of in thinking is that they need to know what to ask. Well, you don't. You don't need to. You just say, "I don't know what to do. What do we need to do?" And it will actually tell you what needs to be done. So it's incredibly intelligent. It's incredibly proactive. Whether you join through Investor Unity or not, I encourage you all to give proper consideration to these processes. Free yourself from dependence upon the financial services industry. Don't pay people for things that you can do for pennies on the dollar. make more intelligent decisions, make more structured and organized and logical decisions. Don't shy away from things just because they seem complex or they're outside your area of familiarity. What you can now do instead is use artificial intelligence to make these things simple for you, make them accessible, take that information and turn it into actual opportunity. Okay? I encourage you all. But I'll leave it there. Look, there's a whole lot that you can do with various free tools and everything like that. We've just put it all together in a much more organized and focused kind of way. So if you're operating a larger portfolio, if you only have a few $1,000s in your portfolio or in your or whatever it is, if you're young and starting out, the membership cost may not even be worth it for you unless you're really looking to invest in your education as such, which isn't necessarily a bad idea. But for those of you that are later in life and have a decent sized portfolio behind you, the time saved, the risk reduced, the focus and the efficiency gains make it, well, quite frankly, a bit of a no brainer. Not marketing wise or any of that nonsense. It's just run the pure numbers. You would have seen the link on the website. There's a calculator there. Just run the numbers. If it makes sense, then you may have your answer as to whether or not it's worth joining. Now, I will finish by saying that none of this is a replacement, an outright replacement for humans. By the way, at least not myself. I'm here to help you. We're here. We run the live sessions. We run the education sessions. We'll be running the course. It's all about taking all of these possibilities and focusing them into workable components that you can have as a resource and better relate and contextualize for yourself. So this is all about extending the capabilities of humans, at least in our sense, and passing on those benefits to you, those increased capabilities to you. So if you have any questions at all, get in contact, send a chat, do whatever you need to do. But we are here to help, and the humans aren't going away, at least not for a little while. So thanks very much for coming along. Wish you successful trading and investing, and bye for now.